You are now listening to the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. My name is Darryl Jr. Welcoming you to taking the lap of the extra mile for today, August 19th, 2021. Sorry we weren't here last week. Unfortunately, work commitments got in the way, so unfortunately we weren't able to do a show. We are now back. And we got a lot of controversy to talk about after Indy. And to join me in talking about that, of course, is my co-host, Michael Ward. Michael, welcome.
What's going on, everybody?
And usually we would also welcome in Christopher Lehman around this time, but unfortunately a basement leak has his attention. Got some flooding in the basement. Hopefully that gets cleared up soon. We will have Christopher back next week. That's the one thing about home ownership. Had to deal with a lot of crap that comes with the house, but it's worth it. Until you get something like a leak springing and flooding most of your basement. So that's always fun. But Michael, how have you been? And we haven't done this. I guess we can do 2 weeks worth of how's F1 2021 treating you?
Just to make it interesting, I went to Red Bull, the third slowest team in the game, next to Mercedes and Ferrari, just to make it interesting. So I ended up winning Monza because you know how Monza's a slipstream fest, right?
Yes.
I managed to break the 1 second DRS gap. And what ended up happening was the AI kept fighting and I just kept pulling away.
Mm-hmm.
And, won the race. Now we're going to Russia, I believe. And Russia's a pretty difficult track, so I'm waiting to see if I can keep my championship lead nice and healthy, or will Mercedes finally get out of their slump and challenge me? I know Ferrari's going to be definitely hard to beat there. So this championship is looking interesting, but I think I got it in the bag if I stay consistent.
I would give my update, but I do not really have one, as I really haven't had time to play the game. Of course, as you guys seen with work, I haven't raced the last couple of weeks. I'm going to try to jump on here after this show, now that things are starting to settle down a little bit, actually get some racing in for once, because it's been a long time, and I need my F1 fixed, you know. So let's go ahead and get into the show. IndyCar and NASCAR, the only two things that were on the docket last weekend. So we're going to talk about those all at once, as thankfully they were all at the same course. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course had the Super Weekend. Michael, what'd you think about it?
I like weekends like this. It's just a nice place to get all the fans together. Bar, we're all safe because, COVID and everything. But, it's a nice place to get all the fans together. It's all one place, so people can get tickets to both events. And also just have a good time and enjoy some racing, enjoy the company of other people who enjoy the same sport as we do. So I love weekends like this, and it's kind of just like not Super Le Mans that's coming up, where it's just a nice place where car enthusiasts, motorsports fans, and anybody else who's interested in racing could just come together for a large amount of time. So I like super events like this, where you get both series in the one track, and it just makes for a great time, honestly.
Well, it looked like the fans enjoyed it, as the stands were for what they had open, given that, of course, it's on the road course instead of the oval. It looked like the seats were pretty full. There was a good many amount of fans on the top section of the front stretch grandstands, what I saw, though they were basically backed up under the shade, so you couldn't really see them in the camera as it came down the front stretch. But turn one was completely full of those grandstands, and that's turn one as the road course is set up, as we know that corner as turn 4 on the oval. That was full the whole weekend, so the fans looked like they enjoyed themselves. Our good friends, Caitlin Seam and Lolita Camello, were both at the race. I saw some pictures from them on social media. I am surprised the track did remain standing with them there. But someone else was with them as well. I think it was a bachelorette party going on, I believe. I don't remember if it was for Caitlin or Lita, actually, but I believe it was for Caitlin. So they had the little bachelorette party. They had handlers, so the track did not burn down. We'll see how long that lasts going forward. But if Caitlin or Lita are listening, we miss you guys. We love you, and we hope you guys had a wonderful time at the race. Which both races, here's what I will say. The IndyCar race was actually pretty good, although due to how those cars race, wasn't a lot of passing there, and I think that race almost went caution-free. It was enjoyable. Unfortunately, I picked Alex Palou in the USRN game to try and get some points over there, and his engine died. So that did not help me with points at all. And that also shortened the points considerably in IndyCar. And as we're getting close to the end of things, Michael, look who's closing. Pato O'Ward closed in, but Scott Dixon also within striking distance of his Chip Ganassi Racing teammate. And I don't want to leave Pato O'Ward out to dry here in this conversation, but we know how Scott Dixon gets in the second half of the season. His speed starts to come up the closer we get to the pay window. It's now going to be up to these young drivers to try and withstand the Scott Dixon second half charge as we come into the end of the season.
The second half charge does come very strong.
And they're going into Gateway this week, the last oval of the season. They will end the year on 3 straight road courses in Portland, September 12th, September 19th at the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey, and the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach, which was supposed to be earlier this year, will end the season September 26th. I do believe that Palou can hold on and win this championship. However, it's got a lot harder. Will Power ended up winning the race. His first win of the season took a long time to get here for him. On the other side, Alex Palou finished 27th with that mechanical issue. And the problem there for him was that with so many cars, with there being 28, the amount of points you lose from first to finishing that far is a lot greater than it would be normally. And he only picked up, or actually, it's only 5 points. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong column, but it's, 5 points for those 25th on back. But his championship rivals gained a whole lot of ground on him, even though Scott Dixon did finish 17th. He still gained a whole lot of points on Palou, and of course Pato O'Ward finishing 5th, gaining 32, the largest gainer of the trio there. So Palou closing in, Dixon also closing in, Will Power finally getting off the schneid, and he looked so happy, Michael, to finally win that race, or finally win a race this season after so much bad luck.
Yeah, it's a whole different feeling to win a race after receiving so much bad luck, and with the competition being as competitive this year, getting a win this season is definitely going to feel really good, and hopefully it'll give him some momentum for the remainder of the season to get up there and challenge for these wins.
It was a fun race, so we'll see them back at Gateway, and we could turn our attention. Go ahead. One thing.
I was very surprised at how good the Christian Lundgaard did. The Alpine development driver raced in the Indy race at Indianapolis today, the Big Machine Grand Prix, and he did pretty well for his first time in IndyCar.
Yeah, he actually qualified 5th. Had some issues with the pit stops. This is his first time actually doing live pit stops, but had a good run overall on Saturday. So we'll see where he finished. He ended up finishing 12th. He ran a lot better than that 12th place would say, though. It was a very good debut for Christian Lundgaard in the number 45 car. We'll see how he does. Hopefully he'll have some more IndyCar starts in the future as he's getting ready to possibly have a date with the Alpine.
Yeah, maybe this is a sign of Alpine showing interest to IndyCar. Could be, I don't know. But he may be taking this opportunity to say maybe F1 isn't the move, maybe IndyCar is the move. So we will see. But I'm definitely glad to see a new driver come into the sport and do pretty well.
So let's see if he stays around for a little bit longer. But I hope he does get a chance to stay around. Hopefully we can see more of these development drivers coming over into IndyCar and hopefully show that there's actually some respect in Europe for what goes on here in IndyCar. Because we've talked about that several times, about how it just feels like we've got these American stars in IndyCar. Of course, Rossi and Hurt are the biggest two. Yet they don't sniff a Formula One seat because there's not a lot of respect. But Lundgaard coming over, finishing 12th, showing that it's not that easy to run an IndyCar. Maybe a little more respect there from our European counterparts. Crossing my fingers on that and knocking on this very fine wood desk that I have. And now we can turn our attentions to the NASCAR race. Michael, I don't know what to say about this race because 3/4 of the race was actually pretty good. And then we got into 6 to go, and that's when really all the chaos started.
Yeah, chaos definitely erupted that race. And it's not the good type of chaos. It's more of the what the hell type of chaos.
Yeah.
You know, it's like why NASCAR? That's all you could really say. When you sat there in your TV or you're up at the stands watching, you're just like, how NASCAR? How did you not see this? You know?
It's like, for those of you that missed the race, this all got started on the restart where there was a huge piece of debris that just goes flying up. I think Martin Truex Jr. or somebody caught the curb. I think Martin Truex Jr. may have caught it. It was
MTJ, yeah.
Yeah, so Martin Truex Jr. catches the curb, basically destroys it. Debris flies everywhere. We don't get a caution. The field comes back into the corner, and half of them just don't make it. You've probably seen the clips by now. Cars going everywhere, and we junked legitimately half the cars in the race. And then after that, they decide to pull the curb away, leaving the giant launching pad that they put there to stop people from cutting the course. And of course, on the ensuing restart, someone hits it. Michael McDowell ends up hitting it, spins around in front of Bubba Wallace, who basically cut the track because he got bumped off and did not want to go taking a flight like Corey LaJoie did earlier in the race. In fact, if he had gone across that curb, he would have went right into the door of McDowell. Bubba ended up getting a penalty. He actually came back to finish 13th in that race. But that junked a lot more cars. And yet again, this season, Michael, NASCAR, in one of their much hyped races for this greatest season ever, as Fox called it, blows up in their face in the end yet again.
Yeah, it's honestly just, it's more like it blows up because sometimes it's just like they take safety and throw it out the window. Mm-hmm. Like what happened here. They saw that this rumble strip was coming off, and they don't throw a caution. So we just flying into the chicane, thinking everything's good, and freaking Logano spins out. Then this guy spins out, and then we lose half the field.
Yep.
And then, a couple races earlier, I think this was Coda. It's raining. People can't see. No red flag. And another race, something very unsafe also happens. No red flag. No caution. It's like, we know they want this to be the best season, but we can make it a good season and still be safe about it too. And it's not like the whole race wasn't good. The whole race was good. It was a really good race. But, it could still be good, but finish in a safe way. And them just kind of ignoring the debris. I'm sorry, but that's not it. That's not it, Darryl. Somebody could have got hurt. I know we have safer barriers and everything like that, but somebody still could have got hurt. Like, honestly.
I enjoyed the race, but, the first 3/4 of it. And then at the end of it, it just got absolutely crazy there with the damage. We're not even to the craziest point of the race yet. We haven't gotten to, who actually won the race. I don't get it. Like, I don't know if we need to go get Hoots out of retirement or whatever, but the race control has not been on par this season. Remember, we tried to start the race after torrential rain during the Bristol Dirt Race weekend for the truck race. That did not happen. You already talked about COTA. Then we have this happen. The Daytona 500, although this was out of their control, we had major rains then. I think the only one of these special races that went well was Nashville and Road America. The other ones, NASCAR shot themselves in the foot, and it's unfortunate that we have these races and then they just go completely haywire. But the best part about it, once we got into overtime, Chase Briscoe blows the start, ends up getting a penalty, takes out Denny Hamlin, either by accident or on purpose, and AJ Allmendinger wins the race. If you didn't hear me clearly, I'll say it a second time. AJ Allmendinger won the Cup race. Colleague Racing wins its first ever NASCAR Cup Series race at a road course. And, Michael, I'm not surprised AJ Allmendinger ran well. He was running third. He ran up front most of the day. But, man, did that win definitely came out of left field.
Oh, definitely. Congratulations to Colleague Racing. They did a pretty good job. Been doing having a pretty decent season this year. So congrats to those guys. But Darryl, you want to know one of the craziest things about that lap?
Mm-hmm.
Briscoe didn't know he was penalized until after he took out Hamlin.
Yeah, there's been some controversy about that. I know people have been talking about when he didn't hear him just because of how the radio was synced up on what we used to call NASCAR sights and sounds, now called radioactive. And folks, those radio calls are not one-to-one. So just because you heard them call it then doesn't mean that's actually when you heard it during the race. But Hamlin is pretty sore about that, and that might end up coming back to bite our fair Briscoe going forward if these two end up running into each other again.
I'm surprised Hamlin took that as well as he did. Then again, I've never known Hamlin to be a very confrontational person.
Yeah.
I might be wrong.
It's hard to tell because Hamlin has been he's been a bit spicy lately since he became a team owner. So I'm not sure how confrontational he really is. He was definitely upset after that.
I mean, who would be? Hamlin hasn't won all season. Meanwhile, his rival Kyle Larson has been whooping everybody's behind left, right. So, to have a win kind of stolen in a pretty bad way, it's just, and I don't know, maybe this is just me, but I was always led to believe that if you cut the track like Briscoe did, you're supposed to slow down for like maybe 5 seconds and then continue on. I don't know. All I know is that I played iRacing, and whenever I cut the track, I get a radio warning saying they say you cut the track and I have to slow down. So I don't know if Chase Briscoe had that same rule applied to the Indy road course. But all I know is that I don't think he slowed down when he cut that track. I think he kept going, and then that's when he realized, oh wait, I cut the track. And then the other time,
he basically maintained position. So that's probably why he got popped. If he lost a couple of spots, I don't think NASCAR would have cared. But because he stayed in second, he basically cut the course. So, and instead of stopping, and really he'd have had to let the whole field pass, he ended up incurring the penalty. And some people think they should put in time penalties. And the last thing we need is NASCAR trying to accrue time or trying to legislate time penalties for this.
And we've seen I can understand that, but in NASCAR, I kind of don't really see it, because the gaps are a lot closer in NASCAR than they are in Formula One. So a penalty there is like really heavy in NASCAR compared to Formula One, because a time-second penalty to, like, let's say a Mercedes, depending on how far up the Mercedes is, it's not going to hurt. But in NASCAR, you're a lot closer, so it's just like, I don't see how that would help, honestly. I think it's just a really cruel punishment.
Yeah, some people... I don't think we need to get FIA with the penalties. I think I'm good on that, to be honest.
Next thing you know, these guys aren't going to be allowed to race, and then you're going to have somebody say, oh, they rubbed tires. 5-second penalty.
When all that calamity, Denny Hamlin ended up losing the regular season points lead to Kyle Larson. He, though, however, is still locked into the championship, or into the playoffs, based on how many points he has, and the fact that with Allmendinger taking that win off the table, there aren't enough races left to get enough winners to potentially knock Hamlin out. And even if it was the case, or no, because it'd be 16 different winners, Hamlin can fall no lower than 16th. So he is locked into the playoffs, but going in with 5 bonus points is going to feel a lot worse if he was going in with 21 bonus points if he won that championship.
Yeah, definitely. Those points make a huge difference at the end of the championship.
So, and I'll ask you this question. Now that Hamlin's locked in, what chances do you give him going in? Because he's going to be down a lot of playoff points going in when we start in a couple of weeks.
I would still say try to go for the championship, because you're locked in, that's great, but you're still missing out on points, and points are the main thing you have to worry about in a racing season, because every point matters, and when you're dealing as fierce of a competition as what Larson's pulling up, with Hendricks pulling up, I definitely think every point matters. So I wouldn't say number 11, relax. I would say number 11, keep getting on the wheel, because points matter. Although part of me does want to see him win the regular championship without winning a race, just to see somebody win the championship without winning a race.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still say keep on the wheel.
And I will say that, of course, we saw Matt Crafton already crack the code of this championship already by winning without winning a race, but that basically took the other cars basically not showing up at Homestead, which the other trucks did not, if you remember that year, and Kraft ended up winning by process of elimination. But I think it's going to be hard for Hamlin to really get through the first 2 rounds, because he's got no room for mulligan. If he has one issue, he's going to be in trouble the entire playoffs, and I really have a feeling it's going to catch up to him before we get finished with the rounds. He may not make it back to Phoenix this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, he may not because, like I said, everybody has been really competitive. Like Hendrick's been really competitive, and his Gibbs teammates pretty competitive. So he's definitely, if he wants to win the championship, he's gotta he's gotta show up more than what he's been because a lot of these guys are hungry and they're gonna do whatever it takes to win.
So we'll see what happens. They're going to Michigan this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that race before we go to breaks. We do want to talk about Lamar here, and we definitely want to make sure we get done before Frozen Takes with AJ comes on. So we're going to Michigan. This is a race where Toyota, if you're like Hamlin trying to get a win, last 10 they haven't won any. On the other hand, Kyle Larson has been really strong here as of late. Now, he didn't run here last year because he was on a enforced year vacation, we'll call it. I'd be terrified if I was the rest of the field that Kyle Larson could come in here, stink up the show, and take yet another win this season.
It wouldn't surprise me if he does. He's really strong at that track, and he's been really strong all season. So it wouldn't surprise me if he took the win.
We'll see what happens. I'm excited to see what this track does. I like Michigan. I know there's been some complaints lately about how the groove works since they repaved, but it's starting to wear in, and they're starting to move up the track just a little bit. So we'll see how it goes going forward. But we're going to take a little break, and of course, that means we have to thank our sponsors. We have to thank the SoCal Warriors, who got a victory this past week. They beat the Desert Scorpions 12-8 in a tough defensive battle. And folks, you already know it by now. The world of semi-pro sports, unlike any other sports organization, where players are playing for many different outcomes, like trying to get film for professional teams in big-time colleges, or just trying to stay in shape. And no matter what, all semi-pro players have one thing in common, and that's playing for the love of the game. And the SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. Whether you're in Southern California or anywhere else in the world, give semi-pro sports a chance if you love your sport, and you may get that second chance you may have been waiting for as an athlete. Follow SoCal Warriors on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Instagram at Southern California _Warriors, and Facebook Southern California Warriors. We'll be right back after this. When we come back, it is Michael and I's favorite race of the weekend, or of the year, really. We'll explain on the other side of this break here on the Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Darren Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you. Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Attention, all sports fans! If you're someone who wakes up each morning with lists of sporting events to go along with your to-do list for the day, then you just might be a diehard. The world of sports is as vast as the ocean is deep, including the major leagues, the minor leagues, the college, and everything in between. This is me, your boy Larry B of IE Sports Radio, welcoming you to join me every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on The Defining Moment, a show that focuses on what really matters in the sports world, sports themselves, and nothing outside of them. Once again, tune in for The Defining Moment with me, your boy Larry B, every Monday evening at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on IE Sports Radio, right here on Spreaker.com. We'll see you there.
And welcome back to Extra Mile here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And folks, are you looking to background check a new hire on? Let Kit Freeman take care of that for you. Sorry about that. Kit founded and has managed Background Check International since 1994, and he's here to help you with the screening process. Contact Kit and let him make the hiring process that much easier. This business is used for professional background checks and not for use of any crime such as identity theft or any illegal activity. Please check out his website at bcint.com and look him up on Facebook at Background Check International. Thank you to Background Check International for sponsoring IE Sports Radio. So, Michael, of course, I told them that this coming up this weekend is our favorite race of the year. And I think we both know what that is. The postponed Rolex 24 is finally upon us.
Oh boy. I cannot wait for this race. Guys, this is one of the best races of the year right here. Daytona 500, I don't know what that is. Monaco, what? Rolex 24, huh? This right here, I'm not trying to throw all those races out the window. Those are all really good races, but this right here is 24 hours of pure action. If you're not in hypercar.
Yeah, hypercar is kind of a done deal. We saw Toyota get the pole earlier in qualifying, earlier this evening, actually. They just wrapped up final night practice about an hour ago. So we are now getting ready just for warm-up and the race on Saturday. This is an old school endurance race where most of the race is actually on public roads. And you will see if you watch this race when we get to the nighttime hours, it is pitch black out back there, extremely narrow, and this is a high-speed, high-danger circuit. We've seen so many big-time accidents over the last few years. So there's a lot of danger here, a lot of weather issues that could also come into play over a 24-hour race. In fact, I will try to check what the weather is going to be this weekend. I don't think we have any rain issues, and we don't. It's going to be a 10% chance of rain for the entirety of the event. But this race gets so exciting. 60 cars on a 13-kilometer circuit. They're passing traffic about every lap. And it's going to be exciting. Yes, we don't have that many in the top class, but Michael, we already know this hypercar category and Le Mans Daytona Hypercar 2022 and, of course, 2023 shaping up to be a real big player in sports car racing.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And with so many teams coming out the woodworks wanting to get in on this hypercar action, 2022 and 2023 are going to be good years to watch Le Mans. But honestly, Darryl, let's be real here.
Mm-hmm.
About a good amount of those hypercars might not make it to the end.
A good amount of the hypercars this weekend might not make it to the end. We know how Le Mans chews up race cars. We've got a brand new category. If I'm United Autosports and LMP2, I'm chomping at the bit because they might end up with an overall victory here because it isn't out of the question for all of the not LMP ones, wow, all the hypercars to run into issues and be laps down by the end of this race.
And Le Mans, like Darryl said, is merciless. It is just as merciless as Monaco. It is just as merciless as Bathurst. You want to know how heartbreaking this race is? Ask Toyota.
Oh, God.
In 2018, or was it 17? when their
2015, 2016, I think the entire time we've done this show,
they've never won them all. But nothing comes close to that year where they took the last lap and the car broke down. No moment in motorsports, not one, could compare to that. You take the final lap, you're waiting to lead, and your car says, all right, I'm going to head out.
Not just... I think Michael, he's not really underselling it, but I'm just going to add this piece to it. The car broke 50 feet past the finish line to take the final lap. Had to sit there, watch the Porsche pass them to take the lead, go right back around, and then come around the second time to win the race. The car officially was not classified. Because you have to finish, by the way, a certain amount of time behind the leader in Europe. Obviously, the car couldn't do it, so technically, that car, obviously did not finish, was not even scored a place at the end of the event.
Bro.
Absolute gut punch.
Bro. Oh, let's not forget the whole Ford versus Ferrari drama that year too. Throw that in there.
That was a few years after that, but as a Corvette fan that year of the Ford versus Ferrari reunion, yeah, I'm still bitter over that sudden, we'll call balance of performance the Corvette got that year that basically made it useless for that entire event, just so we could get Ford and Ferrari going at it for 24 hours in remembrance of that, that their race in 1969. Yeah, I'm totally not bitter over it.
Yeah, I'm totally also not going to forget the year that all three Toyotas caught on fire.
That year was sad because that was the year after the car died on the last lap. That was also the year the Porsches died, which meant that LMP2 almost won. I think the Audis were both out at this time, or Audi wasn't in the series at this time. So the two Porsches died. The three Toyotas died. No, it was six of them because it was three Porsches, three Toyotas. All of them ran into issues. The bike holes didn't even make it a lap. They would have won the race. The bike.
I'm sorry. I'm just remembering how they got to the Mulsanne straight, and all you see is the bike hole. Crashing is not funny, but it's just like all I just remember is seeing the bike holes just head right into the fence and wondering, it's only been 2 minutes. What is going on?
The bike holes starts the race, goes into the corner. No, goes in the corner, goes on a Mulsanne straight, hits the wall. I'm like, oh, that's not good. Out of the race. They lasted just a few minutes.
I remember tweeting, it's only been 5 minutes. It's only been 5 minutes, guys. I think there was one year Aston Martin overtook somebody on the last lap.
That was Aston Martin and Corvette. That was when Ricky Taylor actually lost a tire. It's either Ricky or Jordan actually blew a tire on the final lap.
So honestly, guys, this is just how crazy this race is.
And it was the final lap, by the way, of a 24-hour race. They were still this close. And that's what excites us for this race, especially with how things are going to work out, usually with GT Pro and GT Am. That's basically a 24-hour sprint race, then LMP2 as well. If you've got time during the weekend, because the race is going to be all day Saturday and Sunday, make sure you check it out. Michael, your boys, as we said, Toyota, they're going to be starting up front in a hypercar. It's looking pretty good for them. They've been pretty fast all weekend long. They just got to wonder, will the technical gremlins hold up? I'm not going to be
happy until the last lap. Not even the last lap. The checkered flag. Because as a Toyota fan, you know not to celebrate until the checkered flag is waved.
Yeah, I know that. When it comes to this race, you don't say anything about how we're going to do until we cross the finish line at the end of the race. But I'm trying to get up the qualifying order just to see where everyone is before we get started. I was looking at this earlier. So as we go through the order, of course, we're going to have the two Toyotas and the Alpine actually split the two Toyotas. 7 is going to start the race on the pole. We've got of course, this doesn't have the teams on it, so I don't know who everybody is. But United Autosports, I believe, is going to start the race first in LMP2, and then, of course, in GT Am and GT Pro, we're going to have I don't know what happened to the 63 GT Pro Corvette, because all 5 of the GT Am cars actually ran faster than it. Dempsey Proton is going to start up front in GT Am, and in GT Pro, it's going to be leading us to green there. It's going to be Kevin Estra. No, not Kevin Estra, sorry. That's going to be AF Corsa Ferrari, set a new class track record at 3 minutes 46.011 seconds for the GTE Pro category. So those are the guys that are going to start up front in the race on Saturday. Michael, it starts at 10 a.m. I cannot wait.
I cannot wait either, just to see what this year has in store.
So make sure you check that out. Folks, we're going to get ready to get out of here. Going to leave a little bit early tonight. But before we do, of course, nearest the win, I believe we just have NASCAR this evening, but I'm going to check our handy-dandy notes sent to us by Matt White. And as we look here, I believe... No, we've got NASCAR and Gateway this weekend, so we've got NASCAR and IndyCar again. I'm sorry. So for NASCAR, I'm going to go Kyle Larson. And as far as IndyCar is concerned, I said this guy's coming on strong. I'm going to take Scott Dixon to win at Gateway. Michael, who you got?
I'm going to go Alex Palou.
Oh, so you're going to try and roll the dice with the pick I had. Hopefully he does better for you this week than he does last week. I actually picked Grosjean last week for the IndyCar race, and he actually did extremely well, almost won that race. So I did get a point because I don't think anybody picked Power.
I think Grosjean...
No, Collins picked Power, so none of us got the points. So
I think Grosjean should go full-time in IndyCar.
I hope he does. But folks, we're going to get ready to get out of here. Remember, Michael's at Michael_War25. I'm at DK Jr. 12. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Remember, if you missed any episode of any iSports radio show, make sure you check it out on any place where you can hear podcasts. And, of course, keep it locked to our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as iSportsRadio.com. For Michael, I'm Darryl. This has been The Extra Mile, and we will see you at the next green flag. Frozen Takes with AJ is next. See you guys next week. Have a wonderful evening.